Hello, my name is Michael Bornholm Nielsen. I live in Denmark, Copenhagen. I work at Pgreplica. Been working with Java for about 20 years at Jakarta EE, Java EE, a lot of integration and DevOps. I have a Twitter account and a GitHub account displayed here. And I will talk about installing and using Crunchy PostgreSQL for OpenShift operator, and I will use it in a simple to-do application. So we will be installing the operator. We will be installing the Postgres operator monitoring. We will be installing the PGO client, which is the client to communicate with the operator. We will create, or I will create a cluster where we have the primary cluster, a bouncer, PG bouncer. We will have the monitoring enabled. We will have TLS enabled, and we will have a replica, a secondary replica. We will deploy our simple to-do application, and then finally end up looking at the monitoring of the cluster. Well, as it is Crunchy on OpenShift, we will be using OpenShift. So I have started OpenShift with the CRC start. I have already logged into the cluster, and by typing this one, we will open the cluster or open the console for it, and let's get started. So it is the Crunchy, so this is their website for the Crunchy database, and here I have logged into my local OpenShift, and we will just take it step by step. So the first thing is to install the operator, and just a small step up front is to install a namespace. So we will just do a copy paste of this one, open a terminal window, which is coming in from the side over here, and this one will create our namespace, because we will use PGO namespace for the operator, and then our to-do application will be in a different namespace, but just connecting to this namespace. And we will go down here and install the operator. And we will go here and find the operator, and I will be using the community edition. Yes, it's fine by me. And just install it and say, well, yes, we will please use the PGO namespace we just created down here in the bottom, and say, yes, please do the installation. Having the operator installed, we will now carry on installing the monitoring tools. And the monitoring tool is Grafana, Prometheus, Alert Manager. We will just do a apply to a YAML file. We just have a look into the YAML file. So it will be this one, and well, it will make sure that we have what's needed for the monitoring. So we have some rules. Further down here we have some configuration, and some of the configuration is the password and username for Grafana. The default is admin, and on first login we are able to change it if we like. So I will just apply this one and say please go ahead, and it will install the monitoring tool, start up some pods. So it will do a deployment, and it will do a start of some of the pods needed for the monitoring part. So far so good. Next step, we will install the PGO client, which is the one where we can do a lot of tasks with the cluster if we don't like using the YAML file, or if it's a small task. And to install it, it's just running this script. I already have it up here, so created. So we will just run this one. Every time we are creating a new cluster, we need to run this one again because it contains some certificates. So let's just run it, and blah blah blah. It will create some secret for our PGO manager. So it will create two secrets, one for the PGO admin and one for normal admin. And it will, before we can use it, well, we have to do some configuration, because we like to say, specify what is the username and which certificate are we going to use, but that is just straightforward. To be able to use the PGO client locally, we need to expose our operator, and then that's low, and it's quite easy. Just, well, now it's exposed, and we will do a routing. Yes, please, and paste, and now we have the router, and we need a new terminal window because we will have to do the port forwarding. So we will just do it with this one. Please do the port forwarding, and then we can forget this one. So next step is actually just to verify that the PGO version, yes, as we have the client and the server version described here, well, it's the test that the PGO client is set up as we like it to be. So next step is to do some preparation for a cluster. So we will very much like to use TLS when communicating with the cluster, when the bouncer is communicating with Postgres, and when we are communicating with the bouncer. So we will create the needed files for that one. So it will be this one up here. So we will create some certificate, and this is the name I use for it. So it will create the server key, it will create the root key, and the different key files needed. And when that part is done, so I've done that one in the up front. So I have the CA, and we have the server to server file, and now we need to create some secrets containing these files. So this one is the first one. So please go ahead. Yes, and the second one is this one, and both are in the PGO namespace. So let's just go in and see the PGO namespace. So we have the secrets. So we have secrets down here, and we already have a lot of secrets, and it's mainly because we have all. So if we just use this one and go into our PGO namespace, but still we have a bunch. We have some for the Grafana, Alert Manager, and the one we just created was this one for our cluster, TLS key, and then we have one down here for the overall TLS for PGO. So next step is to create our cluster. So far it has been very simple, the task we have done. So we have already operator installed, a functional operator, and now we will use the operator to install a cluster. So we will install a cluster with a bouncer, and we will enable monitoring, and we will enable TLS. And it's just running this task, and we will just have a look into that file in a second. So please create the cluster, and this one is this one. So it says, well, we like to have a cluster called hippo. We have some a section about the different stores. We haven't specified anything particular, so we will just leave it up to OpenShift to figure out where to store it. But down here we have this one, so exporter equals true. It is the one which made the monitoring enable. And down here we have the Pg bouncer. We have specified we like one bouncer, and we like it to use this secret for the TLS. And down here again we have specified for the cluster, so the CA secret is this one, and the TLS secret is this one. And it's exactly the same as specified over here. And just before going forward, we will be creating a user. This user will be used to test the connection to Pg bouncer, and it will be the same we are using for our to-do application. So we have a user, and it is a managed user, and we will get back to that part in a bit. But at the end of the day, it's just a normal user having access to the Postgres database. And then we like to have a secondary cluster, and it will be this one, and we just have a look into the secondary. So the name of the secondary, and it needs a store, and that's all we have in the secondary. So let's just apply this one. Go fetch. Yeah, and now we just will have a look into what do we actually have of deployment in our namespace. So we have the operator up front. So we have our cluster. We have the backup of the cluster. We have the bouncer. We have the first replica. We have our Crunchy PostgreSQL, Grafana, and Alert Manager. All of them just having one pod. So it will be this. So next step, we very much like to test our cluster. So this is the first test we can do, and we just type this one, and it will use the Pgo client to connect to our hippo cluster and tell, well, everything is up running, the primary, the bounce, the replica, and so on. And we like to be able, the next step is actually to test whether we can use the Pg bouncer. So we will just do port forwarding, and if we just move that one over here, port forwarding, and insert here, place, go ahead. So now we can access port 4532 on localhost, and we will just need another terminal window here. And so this one is just accessing Postgres as if it was on local, and we will be using the super secret one password, and for the user NICBN, which is the one we created just before. And copy paste, and now it's complete. And we didn't do a copy paste. We tried to do the port forwarding one more time. Copy paste. Yes, this one. And well, it says we have access to the cluster via the Pg bouncer, and we're using TLS, and my client is a lower version than the server, so nothing to worry about. The next thing we just need to have a talk about is, well, the user in our cluster. So the Pgo client can using this one, and we just need to get out of this queue, please. So here it will just show a list of user. The user I created before with this command was a managed user, so it will have a secret. So going into OpenShift, we will be able to find the secret where we have this user and this password. If we don't specify manage, it will just be a user in the Postgres database, and then the password would be blank if we use this command. Okay, so now we have our cluster up running, and so the next step is to try it out and see if we can deploy an application. So we will go to our to-do application. So we have the to-do application over here. So we have a to-do application, which is Quarkus. It's a very simple to-do application written in Quarkus, Java, Quarkus. Nothing fancy to it. So running this command. So if we just, well, I think we can go up here a bit, say reset, and go to to-do and do the reset again. So this one will build our application, and it will take just a second. Well, figuring out all the different parts, doing what needed, and while doing so, we can do the port forwarding. So we like to be able to post. So in a second, we will create an image for a container, and that container image is needed on the OpenShift. So we will just start by opening up, do a port forwarding. So this one, and it didn't like, so we will just fetch it from over here because it appears to better like it if I do it from here. So it will be this one. And now we have the port forwarding. So now we are able to access the registry on OpenShift port 5000. And here our application is deployed and ready. So we just say reset one more. And now we just need to log in to registry on OpenShift. And that would be that one. And well, it was a success. Next step is to build our image, and if we just say here, go ahead. So in our project we have the source, we have the Docker, and down here we have the Docker file describing, well, please use this one and put whatever into the image which is specified in here. And as it is a Java, well, make sure we have Java installed and have our Quarkus application installed. And after the application, or after the image has been built locally, we will push it to the registry on OpenShift. I have cheated a bit, so I have done it up front, so we can just go ahead doing the next task. And the next task is to create a namespace for our to-do application, and it will be to do. And then so the to-do is created, and now we can just go into our configuration. So what is needed to run? So we will start doing a config map, and the config map is down here, and it's just saying, well, we just need to. So you are able to find our cluster on this location, hippo, bouncer, and the name of the database is hippo. The user is Michael, and it's have the super secret, and please enable Swagger. And the deployment is saying please do the deployment, find the image in your own local registry, and then at the end please use a service, and it's have this internal part, and then we will say please make it available on this external port. And if we just say reset down here, reset, then we can go down here. So the first thing is to push. So push the config to our namespace. Then please do deployment of our application. And we very much like the service to be here as well. And let's see if everything is ready. It should be. And it is. So now we have the service. And let's just have a look into our to-do. So our to-do up here, and we will just go into this project and see, well, our container is being created at the moment. So we just have one deployment, and in a second we will have a running application. So the next step is to see our application. So it is here, and it has a health. So we will just say, hey, how are the application feeling at the moment? And the health is saying, yo, I have a connection to the database. And the next thing we can do is look into the Swagger UI. So now we have a more feeling about what our application can do. So it is a to-do, and we can create a new one. So we will just say, yes, please try to execute this one. And everything needs to start running. And it's always nicer when this one happens crazy fast. And like crazy fast. Well, let's just try it again. See, and the second time around it was crazy fast. And we can just create as many as we like, and they are actually crazy fast. So now we have 3, 4. So this one will get us a list of all to-dos. And it has 5. I have, for this project, added some scripting part for testing. So I have created using Apache Benchmark, where I just create a lot of to-do and list a lot of to-dos, and via curl create 100. So if we just go down to this one and say cd testing, then we can just run the different tasks, and we can see as it gets warmer and warmer, it will get faster and faster. And so now we have our application, our to-do application up running. So the last part we like to look at is the monitoring part. And for that part, we will be using some more terminal windows. So we will just take them one by one. So we will do the port forward. We will first create a router. Please do the routing part. So this one is to make Prometheus accessible, and it will be a port forwarding down here. So now Prometheus is accessible, and we will just do the same for Grafana, and it is this one, and we will do the port forwarding. Come on, please go ahead, copy, paste, and now we have it for Grafana. And so we are now able to say, please show us Grafana. So we have it over here, and we have the admin and admin. Please log in. Skip this part, we don't like to do. And now we can go into our overview of our cluster, and this is what we have one cluster. And now we can see how it looked like. So we have a nice overview of how is our Postgres cluster doing at the moment. So we have the primary node and we have the secondary node. And that being said, we are done with this session. So I'll just show you how to install and use a Crunchy Postgres for OpenShift operator with a simple to-do application. Thank you very much, and bye for now.